of that pretty quickly, but did you see from that caption at the bottom of the screen how incredibly consistent Damon Hill is? 1 minute 30.5, 1 minute 30.4, 1/10 of a second, and now he's in amongst the traffic. Damon Hill is already on lap 14 out of 61, lapping the back markers. He's gone past Roberto Moreno's 40. He has gone past Andrea Montemino. Here he is, going past Andrea Montemino's car. There's his pit board, plus 15 seconds. That will be a wonderful sight for Damon Hill, who of course is totally focused on this race. You have to be, to get round the corners as quickly as possible, exit them as quickly as possible, brake at the right place, but his concentration will be on victory for the second year in succession, 10 World Championship points. But whatever Damon Hill does, and whatever happens to Michael Schumacher, even if Hill wins and Schumacher retires, Schumacher will still be leading the World Championship at the end of the British Grand Prix. He's 11 points ahead of Damon Hill as I talk to you now. There's 10 points for a win, so if Damon wins and even if Schumacher retired, Damon would only be 1 point behind Schumacher. And there is the World Champion and the World Championship leader, unable to do anything at all about Jean Alesi's Ferrari. The Frenchman, the French Sicilian, driving a superb, cool for him, calculated, and as ever, very spectacular race.
And I think this illustrates very well just how difficult it is to overtake in Formula One. These drivers are all so evenly matched. They're all pushing their cars, which are evenly matched to the absolute limit. And the braking distances are very short, even from 180 miles an hour down to 70 for a tight corner, such as coming into Stowe, takes just 1.5 seconds of braking. And it's terribly difficult to get an overlap doing that. It's a little bit easier if the conditions are wet there. But we've just seen on the Jordan pit board that Barrichello has had the in penalty sign. And I think we can interpret from that he hasn't heard his radio, or his radio's not working. And there is David Coulthard there, I think it is, coming into his first pit stop. Now let's look, Coulthard was just behind Schumacher. Let's see, can he get ahead of Schumacher? Because this is now the source of interest. So, looks like 2 stops regime for Coulthard, the first of the 2 stops. In he comes, on goes the refuelling pipe, that big red pipe for the refuelling, on go the wheels, and let's see how long it takes for him to do it. And in comes Barrichello for his time penalty.
And 11 seconds at the reduced fuel flow rate of about 10 litres a second now, and out goes David Coulthard. Now he has dropped at the present moment to 5th place. He may drop even lower, although as he comes to rejoin the course, and Barrichello staggers, well, far better than staggers, lays great strips of rubber as he wheel spins his way out after that 10-second penalty. So there are going to be changes, and we're with Barrichello now as he's going through that Beckett's complex at 125 miles an hour. Into now the left-hander at Chapel Curve. This is it, building up speed down the Hangar Straight, and back to the battle for second position. And you can see Alesi, Schumacher, no Coulthard of course, because he's been in for his pit stop, but that may have been advantageous to him later on in the race. It means that Johnny Herbert is up into 4th place, but is Mika Häkkinen going to be 5th, or is David Coulthard going to be 5th? We're with the Benetton now, and Michael Schumacher, out goes his signal, 0.8 of a second behind Jean Alesi. He doesn't need telling that. He's been looking at the Ferrari rear wing and almost literally breathing its exhaust fumes now for 16 whole laps. This is lap 17 in this 61 lap race. Damon Hill is now 16 seconds ahead of the battle we are with.
Now the key issue is pit stop strategy now. I would expect to see Damon Hill coming in the next couple of laps. I think Williams may have learnt from France to bring David Coulthard in early to make sure that Damon's progress is not going to be compromised by the fact that Coulthard has occupied the pit when Damon needed to be in the pit. So let's see if Damon Hill comes in the next couple of laps. And then behind that, there's a couple of squabbling Pacific cars there. Now this could provide the opportunity for Michael Schumacher to get by Jean Alesi, because Schumacher may still wonder whether or not. There we are, some back markers, the 40 of Moreno. Then we have the Pacific there of Gasho, and then we have Montermini. Now it's trying to get by back markers that can provide a chance for Alesi maybe to stumble, and Michael Schumacher to second guess it and get ahead.
And David Coulthard, who was the first of the top runners to come into the pits to refuel and take tyres as Schumacher challenges Alesi as Alesi passes the first of the Pacifics, and he nearly got the jump on the Ferrari there. But I was telling you that David Coulthard is down to 9th position, and Taki Inui, to the relief of many of the drivers, I am sure, looks as though he is out of the race, having spun to a standstill and stalled his engine in the arrows. But look at this, there is Jean Alesi in 2nd position. Tucked up tight behind him is Michael Schumacher. In front of him is Bertrand Gachot in the Pacific, who has allowed Alesi through, but is blocking inadvertently Michael Schumacher, who now passes him as Alesi goes through and laps Pedro Diniz in the 2nd of the 40 cars. And in the process, Alesi has opened up a gap, and Martin Brundle is out. That's exactly what he did. That's exactly what he did earlier, because Martin Brundle spun into the gravel trap yesterday in the Ligier, and he has gone out of what was 11th position. So we now have retirements: Eddie Irvine, Taki Inui, Martin Brundle, but up front on lap 18 out of 61, Damon Hill continues to stride away, 18 seconds ahead, and Ferrari in the pit lane have got the scarlet uniformed Italian attendants out. Remember what happened to Gerhard Berger in France, because he came in, and here is Brundle's spin. Here's a replay of Martin Brundle losing the back of the Ligier. Now his problem may well be that the Ligier is headquartered at Magny-Cours, where they do all their testing. It's a very smooth circuit. Silverstone is a lot bumpier. They don't do any testing here, and it's very difficult. And Alesi in, Schumacher goes up into 2nd place. Now, if he's got anything in reserve, this is his chance to charge, but probably not for very long, because unless Damon Hill is going to make one stop only, he's going to be in soon, as his teammate Coulthard has already been in. So Alesi, who was 2nd, stops. Schumacher has gone up into 2nd. Herbert has gone up into 3rd. Häkkinen will go up into 4th position. Remember what the time was, and out goes Alesi.
A very similar time to David Coulthard. So the key issue here is, can David Coulthard get ahead as a result of this round of pit stops? The first round of pit stops, we're watching David Coulthard goes by our commentary box as Jean Alesi comes out, and we're going to see who. Here they go. Coulthard on your right, Alesi on the left. Coulthard was behind Alesi, and he still is. Well, I'm afraid that that has not worked in Williams' favour at all. In fact, Coulthard's probably lost a little bit of ground. It's not much, but he still will catch up Alesi, because Alesi's tyres will take about half a lap to get up to speed. They're heated, but even so, I think we'll see Coulthard come right up on the back of the Ferrari, but can he get by?
Well, Alesi, of course, is on tyres which are not fully up to race temperature, not very far off it. We're with David Coulthard now on our way down to the Stowe corner, into the Vale, to the left-hander before Club. He's pushing as hard as he possibly can, because he knows, as we ride with David Coulthard, he knows that Alesi has just been in, and now is his chance to do his best. Damon Hill, meantime, on lap 20 is 20 seconds. Remember the lap, and that's the number of seconds that Damon Hill will be ahead of the 2nd place man if he maintains the fantastic pace that he's been forcing in this race so far. We're 1/3 of the way through it.
Now this is fascinating now, because Alesi has pulled off, so Schumacher has had a clear track, and as a result of that, Schumacher has taken 1 second off the lead of Damon Hill. Was 20.5, it's now 19.6. So Schumacher is now on a charge and closing on Damon Hill. But the question is Hill coming out? And I think he will be coming out for his first pit stop in the next lap or two. And again, we still have to wait to see whether or not Schumacher does, because although Hill clearly has a big advantage from that 18 laps with Alesi holding up Schumacher, if Schumacher is only making 1 stop and Hill makes 2, in which case Hill will come in the next couple of laps, it could be still very, very close indeed.
And don't think that Michael Schumacher is going to be rattled by the fact that he was in 3rd place for so long and is now 2nd, or rattled by the fact that Damon Hill was 20 seconds ahead of him. I say was because it's now 19. Michael Schumacher is a very cool, calculating operator. He knows the score exactly. He is older beyond his years in terms of Grand Prix racing. In this, his 60th Grand Prix, but we look at Johnny Herbert, who is now 3.4 seconds behind his team leader, Michael Schumacher. Herbert in 3rd position, Schumacher in 2nd. there are people here who say that the Benetton team in effect use Johnny Herbert as a fall guy because they send him out with a heavier load of fuel to enable them to have a wide window to bring him in. And into the pit lane comes Gerhard Berger in the Ferrari for his fuel and tyres. He was in 5th position when he came in. Mark Blundell will take his place. Berger sits there impassively, and this time, no problem. They have got the fuel nozzle in. You'll notice it's on the other side of the car from France. Out he goes, 12 seconds. The V12 engine of the Ferrari, of course, is a thirsty engine. And Häkkinen is out. What Paul Morgan said of the Ilmor concern, which makes the Mercedes engine, seems to be right. Very quick, but they were worried about reliability. I'm assuming that it was engine, but Mika is very sensibly driving off the course, so the engine is at least running as Schumacher charges. And we've got real excitement coming up now, because with David Coulthard having stopped, with Berger having stopped, with Alesi having stopped, we know that both Michael Schumacher and Hill will be coming in shortly because their pit crews are down in the line, and Gerhard Berger is out of the British Grand Prix on lap 22 out of 61. One Ferrari down. Is the other one going to last? John Alesi is in 7th position now, and the race, or 6th position, because Damon Hill, going faster yet, is responding to Schumacher. Into the pits comes Johnny Herbert.
Well, the way Gerhard Berger was looking at that left front wheel, one can't help wondering, as it was just after that pit stop, if there was some kind of problem with the steering, with the wheel of that Ferrari. Perhaps we shall get a different view from another angle. But Johnny Herbert there, now that's consistent with doing 2 stops, and the question is still, we don't know, is Schumacher doing 1, is he doing 2? It looks like he should be doing 2, but the next one to come in is, and there is Michael Schumacher. No, he's not, I beg your pardon. And it looks like it is going to be Damon Hill coming in for his first stop within the next lap.
But look at Herbert, behind him is Alesi, behind him is Coulthard. So Johnny Herbert has rejoined in front of the Ferrari and in front of the Williams. He came in 3rd position, and he came in some 12 seconds behind Schumacher. But as they come down the hangar straight to Stowe Corner, with David Coulthard behind the yellow 40, looking to get past Alesi, into the pit lane comes race leader Damon Hill for his critical pit stop. It's absolutely essential. He's got an 18-second lead. That the Williams team just take it easy. Don't panic. Get the wheels off carefully. Put the new ones on carefully. Get the fuel nozzle in. They've done that. No problem. The fuel is flowing. 10 or 11 seconds is going to be all right. And beautiful. Damon Hill, 11 seconds. And he's going to rejoin the race very probably in front of Michael Schumacher. There's a 75-mile-an-hour speed limit in the pit lane, and Damon Hill will be keeping the speed limiter controlled. That is a Tyrrell behind, don't worry. But now, I can't tell you at the moment, Damon Hill is back on the track, and there is Michael Schumacher down the hangar straight. Damon Hill may have lost the lead, but he's been in for new tyres and wheels, and he's only a few seconds behind Schumacher, who has yet to stop. Damon Hill is still effectively leading the British Grand Prix.
And I'm looking at the Benetton pit as Mark Blundell goes out. That's Mark Blundell's first stop, the sole running McLaren now. The Benetton pit are getting ready for a pit stop, and that obviously has to be Michael Schumacher. Herbert's been in, and that is going to be good news for Damon Hill, because that means that Schumacher wasn't running that pace that he was with just 1 stop, and so it means that Hill's advantage of some 17, in fact it was 18.5 seconds before Hill came in for that stop. That's going to still be maintained, and what we need to see is that when, as I suspect, Schumacher comes in, either probably not at the end of this lap, the lap after for his stop, to see what that gap's going to be. Clearly Schumacher now ahead, but he's going to be stopping, and when he does so, he's going to drop back behind Damon Hill. The question is, how far?
Race leader, world champion, Benetton Renault. Now, I remember when the warm-up was happening, Jonathan was looking very carefully at the lap times of Schumacher and said, I've got a hunch that he could be